So my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have organized this, and there was a lot of learning from the senior ones. I am asked to share what I do and why Sanskrit and what is Indian knowledge system and where do we place Sanskrit in Indian knowledge system. What I do for last 3 decades after I passed out from my higher education, I had decided to dedicate my life for Sanskrit, for Indian knowledge system. That's what I have been doing. I spent a lot of time in Pondicherry, in Sri Aurobindo Ashram, did a lot of work. In 2011 onwards, so the work was taken forward at a higher speed, you can say. Enormous amount of digital content which I created. So maybe someone can just visit our website. This is what I created in 2016. It's called Vande Mataram Library, vmlt.in. So the amount of, if you go to the library, you will find around about 28,000 books which are processed. We have taken it from DLI and then we have processed it and then written the code for getting the OCR. This OCR is our own program by which you get almost 95 to 96% accuracy. But the original page also is available. You can always compare. NCC is a new catalogorum where all the 42 volumes, so out of 42 volumes, 39 volumes were available. 3 volumes are recently published, which we are processing, published by Madras University. So we have processed it and then put it in a very innovative manner. So then it is available. All the 42 volumes or 39 volumes at present are available on your palm top. So many researchers are using it all over world. It contains information about all the manuscripts. Second, you have books, around 300 books, which we have processed here. We have taken it from digital corpus, and I'll just give you a little demonstration of it, like what we have done with the books. You can select any book. There are 300 books, any book you can select. So for example, say you have Agni Puran and select a chapter, say Agni Puran first, and then you have all these verses. You can have the verses, any website you go or a PDF you get the verses. But what we have done with from digital corpus of Sanskrit, and then what we have done is, like, if you want to learn, this is fluctuating. So let me get a new mic. So you can click on any verse that you want to learn. Now it splits it into its base words. Now if you go here, this is the grammatical status. So Sri, it's a noun and it's accusative case. It's singular and feminine. Here, particularly in this verse. Then if you want to understand what does it mean, we have linked it, every word of these 300 books, they're linked to the dictionary. So here you have up the dictionary. So you can understand every word here in this text. So 300 texts are processed in this manner. So you want to learn, this way you can learn. You have the entire Bhagavad Gita with audio, word by word meaning, grammatical analysis. I'll just give you a little introduction about this before I come to the Sanskrit language part. So here you can just click on the chapter and go to any chapter, say chapter 1. You have 2 renditions, one by Swami Sarvaganandaji, with his permission we have put it, which is a musical rendering of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Another is Ashit Desai, which we ourselves have recorded it in a simple recitation format. You have a chapter summary, you have chapter outline, and then if you click on any verse, say you click here, then you will get the Bhagavad Gita, the audio for this particular verse, the original verse in Devanagari, in Roman, Anvaya, Padacheda, Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, and the Hindi interpretation. Now, if you click here on the dictionary, you'll get the grammatical status of each and every word. And then other sources, if you click, it will link you to the dictionary the way I showed it to you. And if you go to analysis, we have done word analysis in this manner, just to get into the grammatical status of every verse, every word in the Gita. And there are many other options in the Gita you can explore. So it will take a lot of time if I explain. The same way you go to the Upanishads. For the Gita, there are many players in the market, but for the Upanishads, we stand first, where no one has worked much on the Upanishads. So maximum views of these Upanishads they go on. We have put around 88 Upanishads, and the major Upanishads are here, like major and minor. The same way you can go to the Upanishads, any Upanishad, listen to it, get the word by word meaning, get the audio version of it. Sir was putting about the question, the prashna. Without prashna, there is no Upanishad. Pariprashnena sevaya. And here, if you go in Upanishads, there is questions. I have compiled 350 questions from around 200 Upanishads. In answer to what the rishis have said to these questions, you have the content of all the Upanishads. And what kind of questions? Because this is what the important Raghuvananta Narayananji put right in the beginning, that the vision that the seers and sages had, and how they articulated that vision, how they lived that vision, and how they organized every aspect of life and knowledge and education around that vision, that decides the foundation of the civilization. And it is one of the reasons why we have survived, whereas 45 other civilizations have disappeared from the earth. Just the name remains. And today, after so many thousands of years, we have a living presence for so many and continued uninterrupted presence after so many thousands of years. Now, if you click here, the kind of questions that they ask, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vijñate Sarvamidam Vijñatam Bhavati. What kind of question is this? Just one question, if you contemplate, you can spend your entire life. It almost takes you to a meditative state. What is it? Knowing which all is known. This is the meaning of the verse. What is it? Knowing which all is known. And then we have compiled it in this manner. If you click on the reference, it will take you to the original mantra. Similarly, you have got the stories from the Upanishads, the etymology of the words, and many other aspects. The same way, you have the Veda. The entire Veda is here. Suppose you go to Rig Veda. We have not worked on Yajurveda and other Veda. So only on the Rig Veda. And suppose you click here, mandal wise, verse 6. Mantra 6, you have the Devata, Mantra, Chandas, and Rishi. And click on any verse or any mantra, then you will get the Samhita Patha, the Pada Patha, the grammar, and then you get Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, Griffith's translation, Kapali Shastri's translation. Then you have Sayana Bhashya. Then you have Maharishi Dayananda. This is how all the entire Rig Veda is processed in the website. So this is a little bit about Vande Mataram library task. This is just one initiative I talked about. So like this, I have got 4 or 5 other initiatives in the field of Indian knowledge system that can be explored later. So here at Rishihood University, we have established a center called Center for Human Sciences, which is entirely focused on Indian knowledge system. We have this project, translation project. So this is my team members, and we have Indian knowledge system, 11 module, 45 hours, 3 credit course, which we will be launching. We did Avadhana Sangama as a part of our project on Avadhana Kala. We have a robotics in ancient India project. It is for the first time in we have conceived such a project, and we'll be taking it forward in a grand scale. We have another project for Sanskrit literature for children, and we have the Integral Humanism Initiative, which is a CSR funded project, and this translation project is about Kavya Kantha Ganapati Muni. And then, other than Rishihood University, I have been teaching in the Hindu University of America 2 courses. One is Understanding Sanatan Dharma, and another course as a doctoral course, which I'm teaching 48 hours. It's Vedic Origins of Hinduism. So this is what I do. And coming back to why Sanskrit is needed, where he left Raghuananta Narayananji, the last but one sentence was the taxonomy. Every Indian must have acquaintance with Sanskrit and Tamil and one's own language. Sanskrit and Tamil, these two are the ancient most languages which coexisted. If people are saying Sanskrit is from Tamil or Tamil is from Sanskrit, don't listen to them. Just ignore. There's a language, two languages in India, they coexisted along with many other languages outside India like Greek, Latin, Lithuanian, Hebrew, many other primitive languages. Now here, the only thing, Sanskrit is unique because it has on record a very transparent system of its root sounds, which other languages on the earth have not preserved in that sense. That's where the taxonomy has to be given importance. Unless and until we understand the words, the concepts, the keywords, it's extremely difficult to understand the Indian knowledge system. Sukha can never be translated as happiness and joy. Yet it is happiness and joy. Dukkha cannot be pain, affliction, misery. Yet it is all these. But there is something beyond than the usual words. Without understanding the nuances of the root sounds, the root experiences behind the root sounds, the seed sounds, understanding the shabda properly, it's extremely difficult to interpret any text, any simple text, even a simple name can be misinterpreted, as many people have misinterpreted. I give this popular example. Someone has written the life history of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, saying that Ramakrishna, the great swan, Paramahansa. How many of you will accept it? Another European, and this book is by an Indian, Ramakrishna, the great swan. You can Google it, you will find it on the internet. Paramahansa. Yeah. And another person has written an article on Chhatrapati Shivaji. Shivaji, the Lord of Umbrella. You want to find an umbrella? So go to Chhatrapati. He has a big umbrella shop. So how will you translate a simple epithets, attributes, words, names? One cannot understand without going deep into the root sounds and why a certain thing is named after certain things. And I can cite you plenty of such examples which I have collected. It's a day-to-day affair for me to collect such examples where mistranslation, misinterpretation has happened. That's where people do not understand and then say, oh, the Manusmriti says this, Veda says this. What kind of society, oppressive society? What kind of language? We should ban it. We should completely, throw it away. What Indian culture? What Indian language? What Sanskrit? What Veda? We should remove it. That's what it has been happening. But believe me, once you understand the nuances of the words, the taxonomy, start in a simple way. Many people ask me, where should we start learning Sanskrit? I said, start with one thing. I have a simple method. When I went from here, from Odisha to Pondicherry, straight Pondicherry, I never had visited so many places in India. So I started teaching Sanskrit to people in Pondicherry. They have no connection with Sanskrit. And Tamil also doesn't have much, familiarity. The Tamil people are not very familiar with the Sanskrit words. The same case here also, rest part of the India, they are not very familiar with the Tamil words. But once you are familiar with the root sounds, you can understand all Indian languages. I'll explain some of those things. So what I found out, to teach the people in Pondicherry Sanskrit in a simple way, I had a Nama Smarana methodology of learning Sanskrit. In the sense, I told them, I gave them a task, go and prepare a list of names of your friends, relatives, what you remember. And if you can list out 100 names from your memory, you know more than 150 words or around 200 words. Each name will have two words: Karuna Nidhi, Jaya Lalita, Rajani Kanta. Okay, you get Rajani, you get Kanta, you get Karuna, you get Nidhi. The next step is try to understand the meaning. If someone understands the meaning of one's own name and lives the truth behind it, that person will be different. Just imagine Karuna Nidhi. Understand what is Karuna and what is a Nidhi. The world will be different. The Indian politics will be different. Okay, this is where. I'm sorry? Yeah, he has understood his name. Stalin has understood his name, the meaning of his name. Okay. So this is where Indian knowledge system can play a great role in everyone's life. Everyone's life. And Jayalalitha had made her name Charitartha. Jaya, she was victorious and beautiful all the times. Jaya. Yes. So my name is Sampadananda. Okay. So now, this is a beautiful way of learning Sanskrit. Meet any Indian, ask the name, ask the meaning of the name. रास्ते में चलते फिरते संस्कृत सीखना हो जाएगा. ठीक है? Then I'm telling you this because unless and until we have the right understanding of the words, the context in which a particular word is used. So for example, the upaya. The upaya can have so many meanings. In Panini it will mean something, in Kashmir Shaivism it will mean something, yet it will have a general meaning of its own. But a specific contextual meaning, it will be differing from text to text, Shastra to Shastra. In Ayurveda, there is a text called that in this condition, if this disease happens, so eat Brahmani. How many of you understand Brahmani? Brahmani. Now, many European people who have translated, who have no acquaintance with it, they say, what? A Brahmin's wife? I have to catch hold of a Brahmin's wife, kill her and then eat. Brahmana? Brahmani? But Brahmani is a particular herb name. And then why a particular herb is called Brahmani? Now in Sanskrit, please remember, Sanskrit is not an object-specific language. It doesn't give importance to the objects. This has been our philosophy. This language emerges from a deeper level of consciousness, deeper level of understanding. In Sanskrit, you will not find a single word which is object-specific. For objects, there is no word in Sanskrit. So you can say, is there no word for hand? Yes, there are. Then how do you say that it doesn't, say hand. What it says is one of the properties of the hand. It's a property-based language. Now suppose an object has got 15 different properties, you will have 15 different words. If you discover a new experience with the object, which has not been experienced, you discover a new property, you create a new name. No one stops you. What is called swatantrata? He put swatantrata, the freedom you can only enjoy in Sanskrit. If you are rooted in Indian knowledge system, if you are rooted in Sanskrit, you will experience what is freedom. Other languages bind you. Absolutely bind, because language shapes your consciousness, everyone's consciousness. How do we use language? I'll give you one example, passive. This is an example I give everywhere. Uh, can you have a passive sentence for I sleep? You cannot have. Can you have a passive sentence for I laugh? No. Why? Because it's an intransitive verb. There's no object. I go to the school. I eat food. There's an object. I sleep, I laugh. It's intransitive verb. You cannot have passive for intransitive verbs. Okay. But Sanskrit has passive both for transitive and intransitive. Because passive is something which is natural to Sanskrit, not natural even to Indian languages. Even in Hindi also you cannot say मैं हंस रहा हूं, उसका पैसिव फॉर्म नहीं हो सकता है, मेरे द्वारा हंसना होता है. That language can, that sentence can make you laugh, but the sentence is incorrect. Okay. So it's very unnatural. But in Sanskrit you can say maya hasyate, maya shiyate. It means the action of laughing or the action of sleeping is being performed by me. If you interpret it, you can interpret it, you cannot translate it. Okay. So now, why passive is possible in Sanskrit? Because passive is very, very natural to this language. Why? The deep philosophy here is that active sentence, when you are constantly using active sentence, I do, it generates the sense of kartrutva bhava, a sense of doership. But here, the philosophy is prakrutya kriyamanani sarvani karmani. I am no one. Everything happens here, happens. I am just an instrument in executing that, participating in that. This is the philosophy which has designed the language. The language emerges from this deeper philosophy. Is it not amazing? Is it not amazing? See, then now what technology does? Type a passive sentence on your laptop, on your phone, immediately you will get, it gets underlined that please convert it to active. In next 2-3 years, you will not have passive sentence appearing anywhere. Consciously it is being removed. You are forced to use active. This is where the technology is leading you and you don't know what the world is going to happen. This is where the Indian knowledge system, the vision behind it, can help us saving the world. And the constant use of passive, and Sanskrit is so full of passive sentences. I'll give you another example. I love you. How many times a day people use this sentence? I love you. It's almost ananta. People just go on using everywhere. I love you. It's an objective sentence. It's an objective sentence. You say I love you because someone whom you are saying this, you are treating the person as the object of your love, and you use it objectively. Sanskrit is, it's not objective. It's not possible in Sanskrit to have this sentence translated as an objective sentence. Sanskrit uses locative. Aham tvai snihyami. That will be the grammatically correct sentence. Tvai means locative, saptami vibhakti. Why tvai? I find the love in you. Love is universal. You cannot use it. Look at the profundity. In that the very design of the language is such that it doesn't allow you to be on that line. Tvai snihyami. Love is universal. I find the love in you. How can you find the love in you? First, you have to find within yourself the love, then you can recognize it in others. That is where Atma Jnanam was at the center, self knowledge, self awareness. Plenty of such examples. Your experience with the world, and it creates awareness. So suppose, for example, an object, all that you see around, you are using the Sanskrit word, it connects you with some of the properties of it. Like a hand, you are not free. I talked about the Swatantrata. You are not free to ask this question in any forum, why this is called hand. What will be the consequence if you ask this question? Can someone explain why this is called hand? Why this is called head? Why this is called finger? This why is not possible. You are not, the teacher will say it. You are not allowed to ask this question. In Sanskrit, you are absolutely free to ask this question. Not only that, you can ask, you will get a very satisfactory logical answer which explains you what is hand. Hand is called hasta. Comes from a root sound. He mentioned it's a verb based language. That means here there is no noun even like there are nouns and verbs, without this you cannot have. But if you want to understand a noun, you have to go deep to find out the verbal root from which the word has emerged. Akhyata, kriya. Okay. So everything is centered around the verb. It explains the greater psychology. Your psychology students, maximum number of my students are psychology students. They say, after listening to this taxonomy or the etymology of the word, they say that why these are not taught to us in our psychology class. I'll give you the example of, before I end, about sukha, dukkha, and then a few other terminologies. So where you can see like what a greater psychology is involved. But we never formed as a psychology as a separate subject. The present psychology deals only with the mind. Again, surface level of mind. There is no Atma. Here it is Atma Jnana. Everything is centered around Atma. Go to Veda, Vedanta, Tantra. Everything makes you self-aware. Now hand is called Hasta. Why it is called Hasta? You can ask. You are free to ask this question. The answer is, it comes from the root sound Has. How many of you can guess the meaning of Has? Has means to laugh. Does hand laugh? Then it's a wrong word, no? To choose for this. Yes. Then again, our preconceived mind, rigid mind, is fixed with that meaning to laugh or smile. We cannot think beyond it. But here, has doesn't mean laugh. The original meaning of has is to stretch, khilna. So you can have a sentence in Sanskrit, pushpam hasati. It cannot be translated as flower is laughing, phul khilta hai. So stretching, extending, expanding. When you smile, there is an, like you खिल उठते हो. तब तो हंसना होती है ना, you खिल उठते हो, आनंद से खिल उठते हो. Okay, there is an expansion. And this is the sign for smile. You don't say smile, right? So there is no contraction, there is expansion. Hand is something, it is one of the properties that you can stretch it, extend it to do its work. The elephant uses its nose, stretches it, extends it to do its work. That's why it is called hasta. The shunda is called hasta because it has a hasta, it is called hasti, elephant. The man is also hasti because there are two hands. It's a bigger hasti. That's why we say, हमारे सामने तो बड़ी बड़ी हस्तियां बैठे हैं. मतलब जिनके हाथ बहुत लंबे हैं, हाथ बड़े हैं. They can reach anywhere. That's why we call it हस्तियां. तो ये सीक्रेट है इसके पीछे, ठीक है ना? संस्कृत helps. And it gives ananda. So much of ananda Sanskrit gives if you read and understand the words. I'll just give you one example. We all have doubts, right? What is doubt? D-O-U-B-T. Can this word explain you what is doubt? What is the whole process? No. That means the word that we use and the meaning that we derive, they have no connection. It's completely disconnected. It's a mithyacharita, falsehood. Here is a language which is true to itself. The word itself contains within itself what it conveys. There's no mithyacharita here. That's why every Indian, the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, she said every child born in India must learn Sanskrit. Must. As every child born in France has to learn French. Because that alone gives us the identity as an Indian. And it gives us the understanding of the whole knowledge system. I'll explain to end it, because if there is time I can go on speaking, but just to end it, I'll yes, Sanshaya. So doubt cannot explain you in whatever way you try, doubt, it doesn't explain you what happens in doubt. But Sanskrit has so many words. It has Shanka, it has Sanshaya, it has Sandigdhata, and many other words. I take the word Sandeha. Okay. Is there a pen here? So, Sandeha. Let's see Sandeha. Sandeha has got two components in it. Sam and Deha. Oh, no, that's not. So, Sam and Deha. Sam is a prefix which means, like you find it in my name, Sampad, Samskara, Samskritam. Sanskritam, by the way, is not a name. It's not the name of the language. Be clear, it's not the name of the language, it's an epithet. An adjective cannot be a name. Sanskrit is a past passive participle which is an adjective. Sanskrit means well refined, well done, polished, sculpted to perfection. This is an adjective. The original name of this language is Bhasha. Comes from the root sound bhash, means to speak with awareness. With awareness. Bhash is not merely speaking. If it is just merely speaking, it will be bhash, like the barking of a dog. Bhashate is dog barking, kukkuraha shvanaha bhashati. But manushya bhashate. Because bha, like the long form, the dirgha, it shows the expansion of the consciousness, evolution of consciousness. So bhash becomes bhash. Okay. So bhash can become the pashu bhasha. The pashu speaking, bhashati. But when Manushya speaks, it will be bhashate, because it is an evolved consciousness which is using. These are the techniques. So now you have sam, and then you have the word deha. Now what is deha? So sam is perfect. Deha is body. Beautiful meaning, na? Perfect body. Where is doubt? This is the first doubt you have, that why they have chosen this word deha to combine with sam and then have a word sandeha, which means doubt. Now for this you need to go to the root sound. Why body is called deha? It comes from the root sound dih. Dih. This is the root sound. So you will understand why body is called deha. At each step you ask question, because pariprashna. Without prashna, no Indian knowledge system. Ask question and you will get the answer. Dih. The first meaning of dih is to gather. I'll also explain you like how different meanings, a single word has several meanings. Dhatavo anekarthakaha. Each dhatu has got so many meanings, hundreds of meanings. Each object has got hundreds of meanings. How? Not to gather. Just imagine gathering means compiling, piling up. Physically it will have some meaning, emotionally it will have some meaning, psychologically it will have some meaning, spiritually it will have some meaning, from the occult point of view it will have some meaning. It goes on creating experiences. It's an experiential language. Suppose physical meaning you take, we gather a book. Say gather books or something which we have a common interest. Now there were no books, now suddenly you have 200 books. What is the immediate experience with that? That it has grown, it has increased. So you go to the dictionary, you will find to gather is the first level meaning, second level meaning is to grow. Unless and until you go through an experiential mode, you cannot connect to gather and grow. To grow, to enhance, to develop. So all the different layers of meanings at the physical, emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual meanings will come under the second level. Now growth, where does it lead to? Physically, now you had a beautiful view from your sit out, lake view. You went on a vacation. You came back after 2 months, a multi-storied building has grown up. What happened to your lake view? Gone, it obstruction. So the growth obstructs. The third level of meaning in the dictionary you will find to cover. To cover, to hide, to conceal, to plaster. All the meanings you will find there. Okay. It's not just to cover. To cover is the main physical meaning. It lists out the immediate meaning. Physically what you experience. Then you have all the emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, occult meanings all added there. Now you can take all the three layers of meaning and understand why body is called Deha. Body is called Deha because it is not a single mold object. It's an assemble of five elements, blood, marrow, bones. It's a gathering compilation. It's a compiled object, assembled, not a single mold object, right? Second level, to grow, the property of the body. I am not of the same size as I was born. It's growing. The property of the body is to grow, to expand. You eat too much, it will grow. Don't eat, it will reduce. Okay. So the property is to grow. Third, to cover, body is just a cover which conceals the soul within. It's used as a kosha, as a cover. So all the three meanings you take, three experiences, and explain why body is called Deha. Now some of the meanings, it becomes prominent. In the case of Dehi, it is to cover, becomes the most prominent meaning. Now Sandeha, perfect covering, when consciousness is perfectly clouded, you don't see the reality. It's a clouded state of consciousness that you don't see. Can psychology be better explained than this? So what needs to be done? You clear up that clouding of consciousness. And clouded consciousness comes from karpanya dosha, from the shrunken consciousness, limited consciousness. Start expanding, that clouding will go. That's why we had this whole idea of ananta, ameya, immeasurable, infinite, endless. Only towards that our journey has to be. So this is how each and every word, and merely translating the word sandeha as a doubt can serve an immediate purpose. But this is not Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge system is this. That you have to go deep into the very etymology of the word, the root sound, and believe that it is not just the root sound. Sir has mentioned about Ashtadhyaya of Panini having approximately 2000 root sounds listed in Panini's Ashtadhyaya, from which by adding the suffixes, prefixes, infixes, you can create more than 300 millions of words. It's a generative grammar. 300 millions of words. But as per my calculation, if we go deep into the Kashmir Shaivism, the Tantra, which has dealt much with the Aksharas, Akshara Vijnana, the original language had more than 33,000 root sounds. More than 33,000 root sounds. Just imagine the wealth of vocabulary, right? Unimaginable. And you can create words. You can create words. In IIT Madras, when I was teaching, before I got the appointment, I had to address all the people there. I don't know, I'm a Sanskrit student coming from a remote village from Odisha, don't know how to speak English properly. So never addressed to big sorts. So many talented people are sitting there. I asked them, how many properties of water you can name? 3, 4, 5. I said, I know 227 properties of water. Why? My language has taught me. In Sanskrit, you have got 227 words for water. Each word is referring to some property, some story it narrating, right? And you can suppose you have got 200 words for water, add da to it or the to it, you can create another 200 words for cloud. Jala, Nira, the means giving. So Jala, the cloud gives water. Jala, Nira, Ambu, Ambho, you create another 200 words for cloud. You can create another 200 words for anything which is waterborne by adding ja, Nira, Jala, Ambu, है ना? अंबुजा सीमेंट का नाम सुना ना? तो Ambuja. So you go on creating. I mean, you can sit anywhere and then go on creating words by following simple principles. This is what is the whole mechanism by which this language operates. And there are plenty of such things, but what is most important is this whole language emerges from a deeper understanding, from a vision, from a philosophy, which it carries within its own depth. That's where when you go to Tantra, go to Kashmir Shaivism, go to the Matrika Vijnanam, each and every letter has ranges of meanings. You have Tantra Abhidhana, you have Ekakshara Kosha, what not. This is what is our knowledge system. How they have systematized their own experiences, and then we say that we didn't have research methodology. Only the West and Europe have taught us research methodology and everything. But what fantastic! How did Vyasadeva compile the Mahabharata? Which story has to be incorporated in which story? Look at the whole sequencing of the chapters. Look at Ayurveda, look at Bhagavatam, look at Yoga Sutra, look at Panini. Can anyone even challenge Panini? A single letter here and there, the entire system becomes corrupt. It's like a perfect software coding. This is the depth of this knowledge system. To end it, I will just explain the word Sukha and Dukkha, because this is where we are all entangled, right? The Sukha doesn't mean happiness. The Dukkha doesn't mean pain. What it is. Now, if you have these two words, Sukha and Dukkha, both the words have a common sound. Sukha also has kha, Dukkha also has kha. Su means good, like Suprabhatam, Sudinam, Swagatam. Anything good, perfect, happy, auspicious is Su. Duh is difficult, terrible, opposite of Su. What is kha? Is it good happiness and a good kha and bad kha? What is kha? Now, if you go to the Upanishads, these questions are asked. A disciple is asking the Guru, what is ka? What is kha? And the Guru is explaining. There's much deeper meaning of kha. We don't know that. But just imagine what kind of meaning they have derived from the word kha, from the sound kha. Say ka, then say kha. What happens when you say kha? What happens when you say ka? When you say ka, if you're consciously doing it, ka, ka. With ka, there is minimum release of air. With ka, you have maximum release of air. When you say ka, there is a sense of in-gathering, concentration, contraction. With ka, there is an expansion, meditation, opening, ka. Right? So, ka means space. Khagola Vidya. The sky, the space is kha, because it's an open ground, endless. So, kha. Kha, ga. Ga is the sound of movement, gati, gana, gita. Ga is the sound of a rhythmic movement. So, kha, ga means a bird, that which moves rhythmically in the sky. Anything which moves on the sky is khaga. That's why khagaya namaha. When you do Surya Namaskar, you say na khaga. Surya is also khaga. So Sanskrit doesn't restrict the word to a particular object. If the same property is found, same functionality is found in others, you can use the same word, right? Now, Kha is space. Now, look at the whole philosophy here, whole experience here. Chandogya Upanishad says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukham asti. Anything which is narrow, mean, contracted, doesn't give happiness. Anything which is expanded, open, bhuma, vyapaka, gives us ananda. So, what is the root cause of our suffering? Now, go to the Tatiya Upanishad, again, Ananda Mimamsa. It says everything comes from Ananda, lives in Ananda, and merges into Ananda. Then people say, Bakwas. I experienced something different here. Buddha said the amount of tears which have flown from the human eyes, if they were accumulated, it would have crossed 7 oceans, and you say, Ananda deva himani bhutani jayante. Everything comes from Ananda. Everything lives in Ananda and merges in Ananda. Whatever my suffering, my miseries, my afflictions, my pain. Then the Vedanta says that, like you are responsible. Don't put the blame on Ananda. Ananda is everywhere available. You go with a small cup, you get that much. You go to a big bucket, you get that much. Don't complain that, okay, I got only this much. So, in a constricted, limited, narrow consciousness, when someone is in that state of consciousness, one finds it difficult, to experience the ever existing Ananda and complains that I am in a dukkha. When someone is living in an expanded consciousness, bhuma, finds it easy, su means easy, finds it easy, comfortable to experience the ever existing Ananda and says that I am in sukha. Sukha is not happiness, dukkha is not pain, but sukha is a state of consciousness where relatively one is in expanded state. Dukkha is another state of mind where one is narrow, mean, constricted, finds it difficult to experience the ananda, say that there's so much of pain for me. Ananda is everywhere. Okay. Yeah. By default, we are Pashu. Pashu means limited. You can look at the word Pashu. So, Janmana Jayate Shudra, Janmana Jayate Pashu. By default, the human consciousness, which is an evolving consciousness, but the initial consciousness, ordinary consciousness, is Pashu means limited. We are limited by many limitations. We are bound, limited, constricted. So, our purpose here on the earth is to become free from that limitation, free from those weaknesses, shortcomings, loopholes, and expand. That's the very purpose of life, and that's the true mukti, moksha. Moksha doesn't mean that you sit somewhere and then disappear. That's not moksha. Is to become free from one's own limitations and then operate in the world from an expanded state of consciousness. So this is the work. This is what the education should do. This is what we should do in life. Organize our life's activities in such a manner that it helps us expanding our consciousness, not restricting and constricting our consciousness, where we will find it difficult to experience the ananda. So that's how Sanskrit is designed to help us fulfilling the very purpose of life. And it makes us aware at each step what is that purpose. And the rishis could find out by following a certain process, the yogic process, the adhyatmic process, and they found out and then they declared to the whole world and then said that this should be the fundamental prayer because this sets the life's goal. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, mrityor ma amrutam gamaya. Lead me from asat to sat, tamas to jyoti, and mrityu to amrutatva. This is what is the very purpose of life and education set by our rishis. This is a rishi civilization, rishi samskruti, rishi jnana parampara, and we must make effort with all sincerity to preserve it and take it forward and then make it an integral part of our life. There lies our success. Dhanyavad.